No. So did it. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Solid Ground. Now look, I'm using a different system in order to broadcast to you from overseas, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But if you are joining me this morning New Zealand time, let me know if you can hear me okay. As I say, I'm having to change all the settings, so you'll notice my background is different. I don't have my microphone and so on. So long and short, let me know if there are any difficulties, and I will do my best to handle them. But greetings from Provo in Utah, the state of Utah in the United States. It's just north of Salt Lake City, if you know your geography. And Rachel and I are here for a conference, a legal symposium actually, on religious freedom and belief. And I'm presenting a paper tomorrow and talking to it. But I thought I noticed the time zone. So it's 12:30 p.m. here. It's actually lunchtime in the symposium. And so Rachel's at the lunch. I've ducked out. I'm actually in what they call a Zoom booth inside the law library. So I'm here at the moment broadcasting. Got my little laptop, but I don't have my camera, and I don't have my green screen, and I don't have my microphone. But Solid Ground is still operating. And as you can see as well, fully suited. And if you're wondering, my tie pin is a New Zealand, not tie pin, my little lapel pin. A New Zealand flag and a United States flag. As I say, I'm here in beautiful Utah. I will share a couple of photos that Rach and I have taken a little bit later. And this will be a somewhat shorter Solid Ground. I just wanted to get in touch with you guys, and also to let you know that the comments are working. I've managed to get that up and operating here in the US of A. So if you're on Family First's Facebook page or its YouTube channel, know that your comments can come to me here in studio. Well, it should be able to. Like here with Michael, good morning to you, or good afternoon in my case, to DD, Food Dogs Trucking, that even here in the United States still makes me smile. Got Simply Green 5x5, thank you very much, which is great. Everyone telling me that it's working, which is brilliant. To Edman, lovely to have you along. And Food Dogs Trucking is asking, am I in a lift? So no, you've got to imagine I'm actually in Brigham Young University, so BYU, its law faculty, and actually beside me, and I can't easily show you, is its big law library. But within the law library are two Zoom booths, and I'm in one of them, which does look like an elevator, but it means that not only can I plug in and power up, which I need a lot of power to run this little production, but also I can speak quite happily without disturbing everybody. Although the students walking past me are wondering, who is this fully suited guy sitting in here? Chatting away. So it's a very formal conference. BYU is actually affiliated with the Mormon Church, or the Church of Jesus Christ and the Latter-day Saints. So as you might know from New Zealand, and certainly here, very, very formal as well. So a mixture of that religious respect and also the fact that this is a legal symposium. We're all in suits and the women in dresses, so it's all delightfully formal. But it's lovely here. In Utah. I don't know if any of you have been able to come to Utah or Idaho or Wyoming in your time, but just absolutely beautiful. It's fall here, so wonderful fall or autumn colours, the yellows and the reds, and the mountains. Rach and I have been here about a week doing some travelling around the likes of Yellowstone Park, National Park, where we saw some bears. Amongst other things, we've been to a place called Jackson Hole, a beautiful ski resort, and other places. And as I say, it's autumn or fall. And so the whole time we've been here, bar one day, the mountains, and just the mountains are spectacular, have been clear of any snow. But 2 days ago, the temperatures dropped, and now they're beautifully cast in snow. It's just absolutely, absolutely beautiful. Oh, and hello to Elizabeth there as well, saying from the top of the south. So yes, I'm, if you will, well, I'm certainly not the top of the south. Utah is completely miles away. So I'm here for a legal symposium on religious freedom, and I've been joined by about 150 other delegates. from religious traditions around the world, so Christian, so both Protestant, Catholic, evangelical, obviously Latter-day Saints, Islamic communities, Hindu, Sikh, and we're holding a series of talks about how do we enrich, support and allow religious freedom or freedom of belief, freedom of conscience to flourish. And fascinating so far, like any symposia or any conference, a lot of it is, of course, listening to the speeches, just been listening to actually several Christians, in this case, in Muslim or Hindu majority countries, talking about the troubles they're facing. But equally, I've been talking to some Muslims from the likes of the UK and elsewhere who talk about the challenges they face. And one of the big themes coming through here already is we can have all the documents in the world which talk about religious freedom, constitutions, for example, which talk about religious freedom. But actually on the ground, often, not always, but often it's a very different case. And so just been listening to someone from Indonesia, so a majority Muslim country in its case, and how its constitution, its laws, reference and talk often about religious freedom, but he was sharing how that doesn't actually play out in the ground. Others again, say in the UK, have noted that even though they have supposedly an openness of religion, that the majority religion dominates regardless. And I don't think that's probably of any surprise to any of us here. It's just the nature in some ways of democracy. The majority does rule. But one of the other themes that we're discussing here is if you are in the majority, be it political, cultural, social, in this case religious, you have a special responsibility to actually listen and engage with those who are the minority. And one of the other big things coming out too is it's one of these sort of global religious differences between religious traditions which allow choice and those in effect which don't. And so putting it very simplistically, there are a lot of religions which are tightly tied to culture. And it's part of your identity, not just as a believer, but by your culture, by your geography, and therefore changing religions or exercising a choice is not really accepted. Whereas in other cultures and traditions, New Zealand would be one of them, by and large, where choosing your faith, choosing your religion, choosing your belief, or of course choosing not to have one, is just seen as quite normal. So that's been a bit of a discussion here between delegates as well about how do you work with that? Because mostly we would think, hey, we want to have the freedom to choose what we believe. But others are saying, look, if people are free to choose, then our culture, our history, our traditions will break down. So again, lots of fascinating discussions here. I'm presenting a paper on what's happening in New Zealand. In fact, I will publish it in a Substack. It's more of an academic paper that I've written and will present tomorrow. But it's basically outlining what I see are some growing challenges in New Zealand around freedom of religion. As I've said to various delegates here, I'm not overcooking things, I don't think, but in New Zealand there are some challenges I'll be highlighting, like during COVID, where freedom of religion was never considered by the government at the time. As you know, we have a Bill of Rights in New Zealand. It's nowhere the same as the American one. But there's a whole lot of freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom around your health choice as well, supposedly, and of course freedom of religion. But during COVID, the government never used freedom of religion as a lens to reflect on its choices. I'm reflecting on some recent court cases here, in New Zealand as well, where freedom of religion was ignored by our Supreme Court. It was said to actually be irrelevant. So I'm just trying to highlight some of that here to the symposia. So anyway, it's very exciting. We're loving it here. So Utah is an amazing and beautiful place, and I'll share some photos in a moment. The other thing I thought I'd quickly talk on, I say this won't be a long solid ground this morning, partly because I've got to get back to the symposium, is obviously what's been happening back in New Zealand, and particularly what's been happening to Winston Peters. If you're following the news, probably better than I am, he was doxxed recently that pro-Hamas or pro-Palestinian, however you want to describe them, protesters turned up to his family home. They put his address online. They turned up on his street yelling and screaming, loud hailers, so not only disturbing and threatening him and his family, but obviously the neighbourhood in general. And look, that is just completely and totally unacceptable. But I read this morning when I woke up, so as I say, 7:30 a.m. your time on a Tuesday. Here it's well, it's now 12:39 p.m, so it's the early afternoon on the Monday. So you're ahead of me. But as I woke up here this morning, news that now his house has been attacked. Someone has turned up with a crowbar and smashed at least one window. And look, I can speculate from afar, but I would say without doubt it's our pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas groups who just have such a moral certainty in their position that they feel that they can actually act violently. And I just draw your attention to a Substack I wrote a few weeks ago where I talked about the continuum of violence, which we're primarily seeing from these pro-Hamas protesters, the far left. I mean, they're fused guys. They're very similar. They have such a moral certainty in their viewpoint, in this case around Palestine, which, by the way, without getting too complicated, a lot of these pro-Palestinian protests have very little to do with Palestine. It's just the latest cause and flag for the very far left, the revolutionary radical left, to use. And just as we've seen, obviously with the Charlie Kirk killings here, the targeting of Brett Kavanaugh, it's all been discussed here actually. These zealots, these revolutionaries, when they have such a certainty in their beliefs, they feel quite justified to dox, in this case Winston Peters and other MPs, to turn up to their homes, to abuse them, to abuse their family, to disrupt neighbourhoods, to disrupt traffic, to just cause harm. And now, sliding down that continuum of violence, are now smashing and attacking homes. And as I warned in that Substack article, the continuum continues through to the ultimate forms of violence. As we say, Charlie Kirk was killed 5 minutes away from where I am at the moment. You had that despicable attack a few days ago on the synagogue in Manchester, and then I think 2 days afterwards we had hooligans attack and burn a mosque in southern Britain. This is all that, again, continuum of violence, which just has to stop. And so it's my hope from here afar in Utah that New Zealand authorities actually begin to act. And a big part of it, particularly with those who are using the Palestine conflict for their own political aims, that needs to be stopped. New Zealand should not and should no longer be tolerating these protest groups. And look, I'm happy to argue why this is not a freedom of speech issue, but the days of these protesters basically targeting Jews and others, targeting politicians, have to stop. Calls to globalise the Intifada have to stop. Disrupting main streets has to stop. And this takes a bit of political will and courage and some direction to our police to act, because otherwise, guys, that continuum that I've referenced is going to slide further. In fact, I'm just finishing a Substack at the moment, which is going to address some of this. And as I say, the escalations in New Zealand alone should be worrying you, let alone what's happening in the UK, obviously the violence here in the US. But what have started is simple protests just continuing to spiral. You might have read last week a local body candidate on the North Shore, she's a New Zealander but of Jewish ancestry, has been specifically and deliberately targeted, harassed and threatened by the pro-Hamas crowd, so John Minto and mates, which they have celebrated. The Post, the newspaper The Post, has highlighted that they are celebrating their thuggery, and each time that we don't stand up to it, they get emboldened. It said now they're outside Deputy Prime Minister's houses, or former Deputy Prime Minister's houses. They're now smashing windows. It will just continue to escalate until we put an end to it, basically, Guy. And Simply Green says, no, you don't negotiate with terrorists. It's as simple as that. And as Rosie's noting, how would they feel? Well, see, they don't care. I mean, this is part of the problem that you've got when you deal with zealots. They don't negotiate, they don't discuss. And, drawing it back here to Utah and the symposium, so much of this is discussing our differences. So I've been sitting down with some representatives they actually live in Baghdad in Iraq, so I was actually sharing some stories of my visit there. Obviously, in their case, Muslim. So we're discussing the differences in beliefs and notions of God and how we interact. So I've been dealing with a number of professors of Islamic law from the UK and Pakistan, talking about how Sharia law actually operates. And really interestingly, how they, as experts, say Sharia law is very different to how the fundamentalists are trying to impose it. And then, of course, with various Christian traditions, including the Latter-day Saints, discussing elements of, if you will, law and philosophy and theology. It's been absolutely fascinating and just absolutely absolutely loving it here. Hey, on a more personal note, and I can see files of comments rolling through, and I'm slightly distracted this morning. Well, this morning your time, but I'll share you a couple of photos. Oh, and I've got to share this from Chris. Yes, hello. It's a bit of a surprise to people. Probably thought I was still away. I'm probably not going to be able to do a solid ground on Thursday. So the symposium started on Saturday, which would have been Sunday your time. So it started on Saturday here. We had events on Sunday, a full day today, a full day tomorrow on Tuesday, and a half day of symposium on Wednesday. And then actually on the Wednesday afternoon and Thursday, attended a number of basically engaging with the Latter-day Saints Church here. They have welfare and humanitarian centres and others who actually advocate like Family First for family, for pro-life values. So sitting down and having some discussions with them, which is absolutely fantastic. So Food Dogs Trucking's asking me, what's the weather like? Well, I have to say here, it's absolutely stunning. So you've got to imagine, well, Utah is just a place of mountains. So beautiful mountains, clear days. There's not a cloud in the sky. I'm looking at my phone at the moment. It's 13 degrees outside, quite pleasant. It was about 4 degrees when we woke this morning, about 6 a.m. Excuse me. And they're going to be a high of 16 today, so it's thoroughly pleasant. Obviously, you can see I'm in a suit, but I'm actually quite comfortable. So it's absolutely lovely here. As I say, Rachel and I have been out and about. I'll share you a couple of photos. I'm going to disappear off screen. I can't do this as sophisticatedly as normal, but this is a place called Donut Falls in Utah. You have to do quite a trek and then up a very rocky face to get to it. It's actually quite difficult, but it's called Donut Falls. If you can imagine, you can see at the top literally a hole in the rock where the waterfall streams through and then down into this cavern, which again quite difficult to get to and actually to get into, but actually tossed off my shoes. So I was able just to give you an idea, was able to walk in with just t-shirt and shorts. And then walk into the cavern and froze my feet, I must admit. But yeah, Donut Falls, absolutely stunning location. We also went to a place called Hidden Falls. This is in Wyoming, by a place called Jenny Lake, like the name, Jenny Lake. A slightly easier walk, but there's Rachel looking beautiful as always. So again, you can begin to see some of the autumn, or as they would call it, fall colours. So that was pretty amazing. And again, you've got to imagine this is all mountains here. And so as you know, even though the summer is over, there's still been snow on the mountains and still water coming down. So just absolutely gorgeous. And thank you for the lovely comments that are coming through from Anna and others. I can see it is absolutely stunning. I assume you're talking about my wife, not just the waterfalls. Which is great. Actually, Rachel's in the lunch, probably watching this. So yeah, just absolutely amazing. We also went to Yellowstone, and this is an actual bison. It was by the side of the road, and as you drive through Yellowstone, we were there for 2 days, Yellowstone National Park, just incredible. But as you drive along, what you're often looking out for, not just bison and foxes and bears and other things, but you're also looking out for people who pull to the side of the road. So one of the easiest ways to know that there's some wildlife of interest is a whole pile of cars. And so as Rachel and I were driving, we saw this lady on the side of the road. I was like, that's very odd, just standing literally in pink. I was like, what on earth is she doing? And then boom, here's this guy, or girl, I don't know. Didn't stand around to ask, but just stunning beasts. Speaking of that, I'll share this little video. Some of you might have seen it on my social media, but one of the things we came across, oh no, and it's I don't know if I can, oh no, I think I'm not going to share this easily because it's up the wrong way. Give me a second, guys. I will see. I will leave you with actually just this beautiful photo. I'm going to see if I can fix this photo for you just in a moment. I'm going to see if I can rotate it, at which point you might be able to see it. But we managed to see 4 bears while we were in Yellowstone, and it was incredible. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play this because I think it's going to be sideways to you, which is a bit unfortunate. I'll see if I can fix it as we go, but I doubt it. But you can see the mama bear there, and obviously a little baby bear Yeah, I don't think I can fix this. Let me see if I can. I don't think I'm that smart. Oh, maybe. Hey, look at that. Go me. So yes, there's the little baby bear or cub heading up. Oh, Food Dog's trucking. You win. You win the pun of the day. I love it. Love it. So yeah, that's the baby bear, and then just incredible to see these incredible creatures, which was really just quite the privilege, I must say. Again, we're very fortunate in terms of our travelling here. We've seen deer, we've seen elk, we've seen raccoons, no moose, unfortunately, but it's been amazing. And the other thing we did is where we're staying, it's a place called Provo. You've heard me correctly, Provo. Literally 5 minutes drive away is the University of Utah Valley University, or UVU, and it's where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And so this is a photo that I took yesterday. Rachel and I felt it important to go and visit, and so some of you will actually recognise this. That's a statue which flanks this courtyard, and underneath the American flag there is where Charlie was shot. So we went along. There's a number of memorials. I mean, I'll share lots more photos on social media and later. I just didn't have the time to do it fully today. This was just one shot that I took, or one picture, probably more appropriately, that I took. But all around this area are little memorials. Well, actually not so little, guys. There are just loads and loads of flowers and flags, quotes, crosses, candles, you name it. But this area here where he was shot is actually fenced off, but you can obviously stand there as Rachel and I did. Rachel, in particular, the main memorial down by a car park in behind where that American flag is. Rachel and I spent quite a lot of time writing a message as well. Our little contribution, we're kicking ourselves that we didn't buy a little kiwi or the like to bring and add. Also, all around the roads in that area are little rock cairns. So, in New Zealand we have our motorways and they're divided. You've got little dividers in the middle, often with grass, where theirs is rocks. So you have to imagine hundreds, if not thousands, of little rock cairns. So I'll try to share some photos of that. But yeah, it was just quite poignant to be here. Quite sad, very quiet. There was a constant stream of people. It was really quite moving, and in many ways it reinforces why the symposium that I'm attending here is quite important, because the ability to have disagreement and to have differences is acceptable. We're allowed to have those, but as I was talking earlier, violent protests, killing people like the far left has done here for Charlie, as the pro-Hamas groups are doing, smashing the windows of politicians' houses, threatening Jewish New Zealanders, is not appropriate, and it has to stop. And that's a big part of our discussions here, not those particulars per se, but how we have differences of opinion. And as I say, it's an amazing group. We know the Christian church is splintered, and we've got people from all different traditions talking away. We've got Muslims, we've got Sikhs, we've got Taoists, we've got everything in between. Buddhists. It's fantastic. And lots of really good discussions. So guys, I'm going to leave it there. I need to head back into the symposium, but I did want, as I say, to jump on to let you know Solid Ground is still around. I'm here for, let's just say, not quite another week, but I should be back to a regular slot next Tuesday. It'll look all more familiar, other than what DD, I think, or was it Food Dogs Trucking, had noted that it looks like I'm in an elevator. I won't be in this Zoom box. I'll be back at home, back in Auckland. Bob, as you know, is back in New Zealand, so Daybreak is back as normal. I don't think we're doing political playback this week again with me out of country, but I could be wrong on that. Do jump on to Family First social media, like its Facebook page, to find out. But as I say, Bob is back doing Daybreak. Solid Ground will return properly and fully next Tuesday, because I'm unlikely to be able to jump back on Thursday. But guys, it is absolutely a pleasure to have engaged with you all. And as I said, final greetings from us here in beautiful Utah. It is really just quite it is quite, I don't know, quite striking. So we'll see where all of this goes. As I said, I'll share some more photos, but I look forward to coming back and sharing what we've learned from this, and really importantly, how we put it into practice. In fact, that's about half my paper that I've delivered, to this, or will deliver to the symposium, is not just what's happening in New Zealand, but actually what are some of the solutions. And it won't surprise you that the likes of Family First are part of that, of how we talk, educate, and push back against excesses which limit our freedoms. Anyway, guys, lovely to see you all. I'll just keep rotating a couple of pictures as I finish up here. It's just been a real delight to engage and chat with you all. I look forward to seeing you, probably next week. In the meantime, tune in to Bob and Daybreak. He'll be back tomorrow morning. But in the meantime, have a great rest of your New Zealand day.